Hey everyone, this is going to be my AFC playoff prediction video. This is going to be a video on all the teams that are in the hunt in the playoff picture and who I believe are automatically locks into the playoffs. This is a lot of teams in the AFC are in the hunt. I know there's a game tonight between the Ravens and the Browns, but really quickly, the Ravens are going to win this game. They're going to win by the spread. And this game has no playoff implications, even if the Ravens win out and become 9-7 because their conference record stinks. And I think they would have a really hard time winning out. And even if they do, I don't think they would win the tiebreaker. So let's just go right at it. The Bengals, I actually have as my number one team, which will be a surprise to a lot of you. I think the Bengals are going to win out the rest of their schedule. They're playing the Browns, they're playing the Steelers, the 49ers, the Broncos, and the Ravens. And you tell me that the Steelers and the Broncos are two games that they can lose. Yes, but I think that the Bengals have a more experienced team against the Broncos. And I'm guessing if Peyton Manning plays, I definitely pick the Bengals. I don't think Peyton is what he was, and he's injured, and he's just not as good as he was. And he has to be at top form if he wants to beat a great Bengals team that is going to score a lot of points, even against that great Broncos defense. Because even against the Pats, depleted offense, they still scored a lot of points yesterday, and even though they did win the game, which was impressive. But I would pick the Bengals over the Broncos because of that reason, and the Steelers have no defense. They have no one to cover A.J. Green, so the Bengals are going to win that game, and I have the Bengals as my number one seed with home field advantage in the AFC. My number two seed is going to be the New England Patriots. I think they're going to go 4-1 in their next 5 games. They're going to beat the Eagles. They're going to maybe beat the Texans. That's a difficult game. They're going to beat the Titans. They're going to maybe beat the Jets. And they're going to beat the Dolphins. So I think they're going to lose one of those maybe wins against the Texans and the Jets. So hopefully it's the Jets, but I don't think it's going to be. So it's going to be one of those 2 games that they lose, and they're going to end up 4-1, and they're going to end up being 14-2 in the end of the season. And the Bengals are going to end up 14-2 at the end of the season, which then you're telling me, well, they have the same record. Who wins the tiebreaker? Well, the tiebreaker goes head-to-head, which they did not play against each other. Then it goes conference record. And if you go by conference record, one of the teams that the Bengals lost to was an NFC team. And both teams that the Patriots would be losing to are AFC teams. So the conference record would be in favor of the Bengals, which would put them ahead of the Patriots in the tiebreaker rules, which would mean there would be 1 and the Patriots would be 2, even though they both had the same record. Then you got the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to win against the Chargers, who's their next game. Then they got the Raiders, which is not an easy game, but I do see them beating the Raiders in a difficult fought match. Then you got the Steelers, which I think they are going to win against the Steelers. It's a tough game. You don't know what their quarterback's going to be, who their quarterback's going to be, but I see them winning against the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Steelers. The defense will carry them in all 3 of those games. Then I see them losing against the Bengals, like I said before, and then I see them winning against the Chargers, which would end up making the Broncos 13-3 at the end of the season, ending up 4-1 in the last 5 games, which would put them at the 3 seed. Now, the craziness begins. You got the Texans. I have them beating the Bills at home. Then I got them maybe beating the Pats or maybe not beating the Pats. I don't know if they're going to beat them, and the Pats beating the Patriots. Then you got them beating the Colts, beating the Titans, and beating the Jaguars. They could lose against the Jaguars. They are a pretty decent team, but I don't see that happening. So I see them either being 10-6 or 11-5, depending on if they beat the Patriots or not. I see them becoming pretty comfortable at the end of the season at 11-5 or 10-6, and pretty much solidifying that 4th spot. I see the Texans beating the Colts because their defense is that much better. I think the Texans have been playing unbelievable the last few games, and they've just been dominant on defense, and their offense has been pretty good. Brian Hoyer played very well last game, and I just see them winning against that Colts team that I know Matt Hasselbeck has played very well and been undefeated since he took over the starting job because of injuries on Andrew Luck's side. And we don't know if Andrew Luck's going to come back in, who has not been playing a good season, but he's also been playing not so great teams. And I think that even though I think Matt Hasselbeck already beat the Texans once, that was when the Texans were in shambles. And I think the Texans are a much better team now, and they will win. and Matt Hasselbeck would have to play the game of his life, and I don't think at the age of, I think, 38 or 39 or 40 years old that he's going to be able to do that. Then you got the wild card spots. You got the Chiefs at 6-5, the Colts at 6-5, the Jets at 6-5, the Steelers at 6-5, the Raiders at 5-6, the Bills at 5-6, and the Texans at 6-5. But I said the Texans would win the division, so we're going to keep them out of it. I'm taking out the Jaguars or any of those 4-7 teams. I'm just going to say they're done unless they win out. They're pretty much done anyway, and I don't see them coming back anytime soon. Let's start off with the Bills. I think they're going to lose to the Texans. I think they're going to beat the Eagles. I think they're going to lose to the Redskins. I think they're going to beat the Cowboys, and I think they're going to lose to the Jets, which would make them 7-9 at the end of the season because they would be 2-3 in the last 5 games, which they're right now 5-6. So that would just kick them out right away. The Bills are just not a good enough team. They're not. They're just too erratic, too inconsistent, and I don't see them making a run, especially with the hard schedule they have. And they're playing at the Redskins, which the Redskins play unbelievable at home. Next team I want to talk about is the Raiders. I think they're going to beat the Chiefs at home, which would be an upset, and not a lot of people think that's going to happen. But I think the Raiders are going to beat the Chiefs at home, which would give them momentum. But then they're running into the Broncos at Denver, and they're going to lose that game because the Broncos are just a great defense, and they're going to be able to cover those great wide receivers on the Raiders. And then you got Green Bay at home, but they're going to lose that game because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to will his team into the playoffs, and I think Aaron Rodgers is that good. I see them beating San Diego, and I see them losing at the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs and the Raiders they both have to play each other twice, and I think they're going to split those games. The next team I want to talk about is the Chiefs. I see the Chiefs losing to the Raiders at Oakland. I'm going to stick with that, which is what I said before when I was going over the Raiders. I think the Chiefs are going to lose at Oakland. I think they're going to win at home against the Chargers. I think they're going to win at Baltimore, and I think they're going to win at home against the Browns, and I think they're going to win at home against the Raiders. That would end up 4-1 in the last 5 games. They would be 10-6, and they would be in that 5 spot because they beat everyone in tiebreakers right now. Next team I want to talk about is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them winning against the Colts. I have them losing at Cincinnati. I have them losing against the Broncos. I have them winning at the Ravens and winning at the Browns, which would end their season at 9-7. Their last loss this past week was pretty much what kicked them out for me of the playoffs. I did not have my Jets in the playoffs until this week when they showed they can beat a bad Dolphins team and their defense showed up and their offense showed up and the Steelers lost. The Steelers losing was the big key, and I think that's what will propel the Jets into the playoffs. The Jets have to win this game against the Giants, and I do have them winning. They don't. They're out of the playoffs for me, but if they do, they're in. Then you got the Titans, which I have them winning that game. You got at the Cowboys, which I have them winning, which will be a trap game for them, both the Titans and the Cowboys. They got to win those games and take care of business. I got them losing against the Patriots. They could beat them. It depends how banged up the Patriots are, and they might be sitting some players at that point, but who knows. And then you got them beating the Bills at home, at Buffalo, and I think that will put them over the edge. They will be 10-6. They will lose the conference record against the Chiefs, which would put them in the 6th spot, and they would have to play the Broncos in the first game, which would be a really great matchup. And I have the Chiefs and the Jets as the 2 wildcard teams. Just to recap, I got the Bengals as my 1 team, the Patriots as my 2 team, the Broncos as my 3 team, the Texans as my 4 team, the Chiefs as my 5th team, and the Jets as my 6th team. That will be the AFC playoffs. You could count on it. And if you want to bet on a game this week, you definitely pick the Texans over the Bills, plus the 3 points. I don't understand why the Texans are not favored in this game. I know it's at Buffalo, I'm pretty sure, but still, 3 points for a team that is one of the hottest teams in the NFL? Come on. Texans winning that game, you take the points, plus 3. It's at even money line right now. You take that. Please subscribe and comment below if you like this video. If you don't like this video, comment below and tell me why. And enjoy Monday Night Football and enjoy next week. It's going to be a great week of NFL football.